Good morning. Today we are doing lesson 2.5c, which is applying the distributive property, and we are going to review combining like terms. Once we do both of those, we'll actually combine both of them together. So first, combining our like terms. We're going to combine any terms that have the same letters. We have 9c. This is a negative 4c. This is a 6c. And before I forget, I see the opposite of a negative, two minus signs or two negatives. The opposite of a negative makes a positive. So combining all of the letters C's, 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4 is going to give me 5C. And then 5 plus 6 more is going to give me 11. So we have 11C. And then we just have a positive 11 and a positive 5. So if we combine those together, 5 plus 11, or 11 plus 5, gives us 16. Now it says find the area of the rectangle. So area, again, is base times height. So we're multiplying this 4 by the 5 and by the negative 6. If you want to rewrite it and draw our box here, 4 and then 5 minus 6x, so you can see which part it goes into, that's fine. Otherwise, you can divide it up like this. I'm going to use the one that's there for us, so you don't have to rewrite anything. So we have 4 times 5, which is 20. And then the negative goes with the 6. So we have 4 times negative 6, or 6 times 4 is 24, but it's a negative, and it's multiplied by x. So we have 20 minus 24x. If we put the x's first, this whole term is with the x's. Negative 24x and a positive 20. So this would be the best answer because our x's are first. However, some people leave it like this. Technically, this is okay, except some of you are going to try and subtract 20 minus 24. You can't do that. These are two separate terms. These are touching, so you can't combine them together. So let's do a little simplifying. I have a little star by here to make sure we don't forget what happens when you multiply y by y. We have our teacher out front. Remember I said teacher, if I'm going to distribute candy to the class, I need to give it to both parts, the y and the 3. And this is really a 1y, so we have 4 times 1 is 4. And y times y, another way to write that would be y to the power of 2. We have y squared. And then 4 times 3 is 12, and just a y. So our answer would be 4y squared plus 12y. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Notice we have two terms here, and here we only have one term. So I know that this one term has to go out front, negative 10. Otherwise, remember what we said before? If we had x minus 7 times a negative 10, it looks like just minus 10 because we know that they're not touching. It looks like just subtract. So that's why they put them next to each other like that. So we have a negative 10 out front, and then we have x minus 7 on the top. This is really a 1x, so negative 10 times 1 is negative 10 with the x. A negative times a negative, two grumpy people, they get along. It's going to be positive. 7 times 10 is 70. So we have negative 10x plus 70. That's our answer. Now these next couple, I didn't draw the boxes for you. You can draw the boxes. That's what I do. So we have a negative out front, that's really a negative 1, multiplied by x plus 11. So this negative is really going to make these two numbers the opposite of what they are. The opposite of 1 times negative 1 is negative 1x. And negative 1 times positive 11 is negative 11. So we have negative 1x and a negative 11. Or negative 1x minus 11, same thing. Next, let's draw our box so we can multiply. We have two terms. Here we have 2 and negative n, so those are going to go on the top. And then out front we have 8n. This is really a negative 1n. Put the 1 there if you want. 8 times 2 is 16, multiplied by n. And then 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. And be careful, n times n, there are 2 of them. That's n to the power, or the exponent of 2. So I'm going to write this with the highest exponent first. If you wrote it just like it is, technically that is correct as well. So we have negative 8n squared plus 16n. Alright, on to the back side. This is where we have new information. So far, what we've been doing is just multiplying. I'm going to show you here just about this much. Oops, not that much. This much. And we've been multiplying negative 4 and then 2x minus 10. Our teacher out front distributing candy to everyone in the class. However, this person over here is not in the class, so they don't get any candy. They don't have to get multiplied by this negative 4. So this 5x is what we're just going to add on to the end once we're done multiplying. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, so negative 8x. A negative times a negative is a positive, so we have a positive 40. Now that we've multiplied, we're done with those numbers. We have negative 8x plus 40 plus 5x. Now is when that one extra step comes where we have to combine any like terms. We have here a negative 8x and a positive 5x. They're both x's, so we can combine them together. There are more negatives, so I know it's going to be negative. 8 minus 5 should give me 3. So we have negative 3x plus 40. We couldn't combine that with anything, we just move it down. I like to think of this number out here, as someone just standing in the hallway. We still have to include them in our class if they're going to the bathroom or their locker, but they don't get candy because they're not in the classroom at the time. So this next one, exact same thing. Anytime you have your parentheses, that's what's going to go on the top, 4 minus 2x. However, this 7x is not going to go up front. This 7x is just a positive 7x sitting out in front. This, remember, is a negative 1. It's like, oops, that's not what I meant to do. It's like having your classroom right here, and the teacher is hiding negative 1. Okay, so it's a negative 1 out front. This 7x is what gets put in the box. It's just sitting there, but it's not multiplied. It's not touching our parentheses. So let's multiply negative 1 times 4 gives us a negative 4. A negative times a negative gives us a positive 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and the x. So once we multiply, we're done with those. We have negative 4 plus 2x plus 7x. And we're going to combine any like terms. We have 2x and 7x. That gives us a total of 9x. And we have this negative 4. Again, if we write the x's first, that would be the best. 9x and a negative 4. Either way, these are both the exact same thing. The 4 is negative, and the 9s are positive. Again, the reason why we put a negative 1 here is that's what's touching or multiplied by the parentheses. Let's try a couple more. This one is almost the same, except our person in the hallway is at the back end here. So parentheses goes on top, 4x minus 13. And whatever's touching, this would really be a negative 1 touching, that's what we're going to multiply. And then the person standing in the hallway goes in, they don't get any candy, they're not multiplied. 5x. So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4x. A negative times a negative makes a positive. 1 times 13 is just 13. So we're done with those. Negative 4x plus 13 plus 5x. Some of you can combine it right from here, that's fine. We have a negative 4 and a positive 5. There's more positives, just combining these together. There's one more positive, 5 minus 4 is 1, so we have 1x. 13 can't combine with anything else, so just plus 13. I would like you to try this one on your own, and then click play to see if you got it right. So in our parentheses, our classroom, we have 5t minus 6. Our teacher touching the classroom, so closest person to the classroom always, is a 3. And then we have plus 17 in the box. So 5 times 3 is 15, so we have 15t. 3 times negative 6 is negative 6 times 3 is 18. And we're done multiplying, so now we can just combine our like terms. 15t minus 18 plus 17. There aren't any other letters other than this 15t, so I'm just going to rewrite it. But we do have two like terms here, 17 and negative 18. There are more negatives, so we know there's extra negatives. 18 minus 17 is 1. So there's our answer, 15t minus 1. So that is our final lesson, combining our distributive property with combining like terms. So distribute first, then combine your like terms.